special We're Not Really Here, as we celebrate the life of Colin Bell. And so we thought it only right to start tonight's show in front of the Colin Bell stand, which in itself speaks volumes about his huge importance to our club. The king of the Kippax, a man whose talent and grace transcends the generations. Colin Bell will always be remembered as one of our greatest ever players. And in the words of our chairman, the passage of time does little to erase the memories of his genius. And so there's only one place we can start tonight. He may be gone, but he will never be forgotten. So raise your glasses and drink a drink a drink. Long live the king.
This is Alan Oakes. 20 minutes gone, and it's Colin. What a goal! What a goal! What a fantastic shot by Colin Bell.
Well, for me, it was just a pleasure to go in every morning because everything was so happy and people were so happy and everything was going well and success was there. It was terrific times.
And that's dangerous. Bell in, and Bell makes it tell.
Malcolm Allison had gone to see him play, and I said, well, I must go and have a look at this Colin Bell. Probably one of the best players I ever signed in my life, Colin Bell.
Colin Bell, probably the best player I ever worked with. He was so gifted, he was so much talent. He could score goals from midfield. He had great pace. He was good in the air. He had everything.
Driving quickly. In fact, it's 4 against 3. Here's Marsh. That's for Bell. Thank you very much, 4-1.
We went out believing that we could beat anybody. Doesn't matter who we turned out against. The team talks were very, very limited. It was just a couple of free kicks and get out and play. You're better than the side you're playing, score more goals than them, and that was it.
Well to get that over. Bell flicking it on. Pardo! That's what they waited for at Main Road. On the far side. And Bell! Yes! 1-0 to England. And Colin Bell is the scorer.
Colin was a completely different player because Colin used to play and he make it so easy. You know, he was probably the most complete inside forward all round that you'd ever see. He got tremendous speed, good stamina, good in the air, tremendous shot, and good skill as well.
I think he's one of the men to an extent, this fantastic lung power he has. Yeah, but one man can't be that much supreme or more supreme than anybody else in terms of stamina. But he does seem to be to me.
I mean, we used to come off the field at half-time, just lathered in sweat, and Colin used to come off with a blob because he used to play the game so easy, far better than anybody could ever think of.
Bell! Here's Bell!
Welcome everybody to We're Not Really Here, which we hope tonight will be in part celebration of the life of Colin Bell. I'm Natalie Pike and I am joined this evening on the couches by the wonderful Shaun and Joleon Lescott, and we're looking ahead of course as well to the Carabao Cup semi-final. So thank you very much first of all for joining me, gents. Very emotional start to the show tonight. It's a bit of a different mood in here. We really are celebrating and looking back at some of those absolutely incredible highlights, right?
All of them were incredible. And that is the thing, like there wasn't many tap-ins, and there's obviously a lot of goals at Wembley as well. So yeah, exceptional talent, and in the greatest respect to him, he's not someone I knew much about before joining the club, and then when you recognise that there's a stand named after him, you have to appreciate what he's obviously done. But I can honestly say, as soon as I was introduced to him, such a gentleman, so kind of humble in regards to what he's achieved for this club and in his career. You would never kind of assume that due to how modest he was in regards to his achievements and what he's done for Manchester City.
Yeah, he really, really was. Humble is such a key word when you're talking about him. Shaun, obviously the news came last night.
Yes.
What was your first thoughts when you heard?
Well, I first was like, I couldn't believe it because, again, when we were coming to games and, we were all interacting going back several months ago, my mind went to then. And I never really had, an hour or a long time to really sit down and sort of shoot the breeze. We were always sort of 5-minute conversations in passing. But Joleon's absolutely right. He was so humble, and you would never have thought he won and achieved the things that he achieved with the way he when you had conversations. And for me, I was, I when I think of him, I'm thinking they've named a stand after you or after him, and he had to have been some player. I mean, we saw those clips there. He's scoring every type of goal. And I'm looking at some volleys and I'm thinking, I'm a striker and I'm thinking, he was a box-to-box midfielder. Yeah. And some of those finishes, you're like, that is technique. So he truly was a special player. And I think, as we were talking off air, and I was saying that, when you're, as a player, you're here, you're in your own ego. So even though you walk across legends, you would say, oh, there's Colin Bell, and you say hi, and you'd have a quick conversation. But because you're a current player, you're sort of in your ego. But again, when a club's named a stand after you, you had to have been a player. And I think that is a shame that we're having to sort of speak about this and recognize this as much as we are now, as opposed to it being a bit before he passed.
Yeah, he was just so well loved by everybody, all City fans and everybody that met him. And we were talking before, Shaun, about the tweets and the messages of support that people have been coming out, and we've seen them from so many ex-players like Vincent Kompany and David Silva and Pablo Zabaleta and obviously people from the world of football as well. But it's a real testament to him and to the club that players are so understanding that like you're saying, you understood who he was and appreciated him and were wowed as much as we were.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you know the club and you're sort of really connected with the club, this is how you're sort of remembered. But as you say, a lot of former players, as Zabaleta and the likes, are tweeting in and sending their condolences, and also condolences to the family from everyone here, because again, he'll be sorely missed, and what a player he was, and rightly so. We should celebrate what he done, because again, the things he achieved as a player. He was so humble when I went across, met him and had little chats, and he just reels off like couple League Cups, UEFA Cup winners medal, our trophy, the FA, the league or the Premier League. He's won all these things, and when you go to meet him, and you're just like, he's more like, so how you doing, Shaun? And I'm just like, and he's like, I'm assuming in that way, and he'll be sadly missed.
And you've both played with some incredibly talented players. Have you ever played with anybody that you could describe quite as humble with the level of talents that Colin Bell had?
I think it comes along with being the greats. To be fair, like David Silva instantly springs to mind. So humble, down to earth. Came to the club as a European Championship winner, if not World Cup winner. Won here, was successful before. Patrick Vieira, again, so down to earth. Steven Gerrard. I look at, I've played with some of the current greats, should I say, but what they all have in common is they're so humble. Again, it may come down to their expectations of themselves, of being able to. They've not over exceeded what they expected their capabilities to do. And again, Colin Bell kind of had that aura about him. He wasn't kind of, again, the greatest respect I can pay him is not knowing what he'd achieved when I met him. And then obviously being aware of what he'd achieved, I was like, wow, if there's no reason for me to get carried away if you've done what you've done. And the biggest honor for any player is to have a stand. Like, we talk about statues and it's great, but a stand, that is everlasting. That's never going to be forgotten. You're always going to have a place in the hearts of Manchester City club and fans, and because you're going to be represented at every home game.
I find it really hard to comprehend as well that when we talk about him, we watched some amazing of his highlights there, but because none of us were kind of alive in the time when at his height, he will have scored some incredible goals that will only ever have been witnessed by the people that were there, because they weren't caught on video. They weren't that wasn't available at the time. So it always makes me sad that I never got to experience seeing Colin Bell play in real life. For me, it was almost always a myth, sort of. Do you know what I mean? Because we weren't blessed to be able to watch him play, and that always makes me a bit sad.
Yes, exactly. And, again, going back to those highlights, he's scoring goals against, obviously the goals he scored for City, but I've seen highlights where he's also scored against Brazil, Holland, and I'm talking, it is absolutely packed. You're talking 80 and 90,000, and he was a player. And so when you have that interaction with him, you didn't get that. You just got like, I'm just a normal guy. I'm just like, hey, and it's more interested in like, hey, Joleon, what you up to? And it, now it's sad that we didn't really get that forced on us, because it should be. Because, he's really a true legend, really. Because again, what he's won, Joleon's won some things. I'm hanging on the time when we were struggling, but he's truly a legend. He really is. When you look back at what he's won and how he performed, it just be sad that he's gone.
Don't you ever put down that 99 final, Shaun?
Yes.
Without you, without that final, then this man wouldn't have.
Yeah, we all played a part. You know what I mean? But no, Colin again. The stand thing just really resonates with me. That is like, no player dreams of having their own stand. So to be given that honour is the greatest kind of homage the club can pay him. He's had it before, so we haven't just. I know we've touched on it. Then we're picking up on what he's done, but he was around to see that. He knows he's everlasting at this club. He will ever be, and that is the greatest respect for him and his family.
On that point, before it was that main road, and they had the kickbacks and the family stand, etc. But this just shows you the club. They normally don't come short when it comes to doing things right. I can't remember when it was, but it was after I left, so it may have been 2004 around that time. The stand is named after him. I take my hat off, because as Joleon says, as a player, you want to be remembered as a good player and say the fans loved you or liked you and you done well. But when you get a stand named after you, that's really a drop the mic moment. And so that's absolutely brilliant what he achieved. Yeah.
And like you say, no player dreams of that, and you imagine that is specifically true for him. You imagine it never crossed his mind. Yeah. He was playing football, he was doing what he loved, and it will have never crossed his mind to have a stand named after him.
He probably wouldn't have wanted the attention that brought, because the day would have been about him when it was opened, and obviously he was coming here, and you never got the impression he wanted to take the attention from the success we had when I was here. He just came and was happy to see success, and that is a great kind of humility and value to have, is that he's not bitter, like that he is not around and he probably didn't get the praise that he deserved because he was such a phenomenal player. He was just happy that the club were back in and owning titles.
And you both mentor young players now. You both work a lot with young players. Do you think that's, apart from the incredible talent that the man had on the pitch, that is definitely a lesson from Colin Bell that the young footballers could learn, is to stay humble and to concentrate on your game and to just enjoy your football?
Yes, without doubt. I'm sure the advice he'll be passing on to the young kids as myself is always remain humble and work hard. But, again, talking about Colin, Lee Crooks, one of my teammates, was coached by him in his early years. And Lee Crooks, obviously sent out messages and condolences. But again, his messages are just that, what a brilliant coach he was. And again, these are things that you don't really know. You just see him in passing, or you have seen him in passing, and he was just that humble guy.
And also, that's not necessarily a thing you can coach. That is like, his family deserve credit for that, because that is a value installed in him from such a young age. Again, it's a sad time for them. Obviously, they've not just lost a player that we admire or someone we admire. They've lost a dad, a husband, kind of thing. So it's a different situation for them to be in, but they need to take credit as well for the the way he was and the core values he has.
Absolutely. For me, when I started working here 10 years ago, on my first day here, I walked into the office building and he was sat at a table, and I'm already nervous enough because it's my first day here, and I walk in and Colin Bell is sat there and I thought I was going to faint, and he's just sat at a coffee table, just completely unassuming. Our greatest ever player just sat at a coffee table. So yes, absolutely floored me. But now we're going to hear some thoughts from the wonderful Phil Foden and Pep Guardiola.
Phil, it's been a sad 24 hours for the club. What did Colin Bell mean to you?
He was a massive player for this club, probably one of the greats for this club, and he's got a stand named after him, so he's massive for this club and he's going to be sadly missed.
And you're coming out tonight in his old top with 8 on the back. That'll be special, won't it? Yeah, it's going to be special for the team to show our respect towards him, and yeah, so we're looking forward to it, to wear his shirt today and come out. Pep, a big game of football tonight, but an emotional night for the club, marking the passing of Colin Bell.
Yeah, of course, it's a day for all of us, especially, of course, for his family. Like, on behalf of all the team and squad, I want to thank him the best hugs to the family. Is this club belongs to the players, and make this club what it is. Thanks for persons or personalities like Sir Colin Bell. So that's sad news for us.
Was, of course, the thoughts of Pep Guardiola and Phil Foden, because of course we do have the semi-final tonight against United. I mean, we could easily sit here and talk for an hour about Colin Bell, and as I'm sure you are all doing at home, sharing your memories and sharing your thoughts as well. But just sort of thinking ahead of the game tonight, do you, as a player, Joleon, finding out that somebody like Colin Bell, who's passed away, somebody that is so adored by the club and the fans, the day before such a big game, do you think that will give the players an extra lift or an extra incentive, not that they need one for tonight?
Yeah, you would imagine so. Again, in a respectful way, there'll be players that won't be aware of what he's done and who he was. There'll be players in this first team squad that obviously are in there for the first time without any fans, so they're unaware of everything. But to people like Phil Foden, it will mean the world. Like, obviously being an avid fan of Man City, he'll be aware of what it means, and I'm sure the players will want to go out there and showcase what it means, what he meant to the club. And as an away player, they'll be aware of what it meant and what kind of motivations that potentially gives to Man City. So again, it just gives the kind of emphasis on the game a whole lift, and hopefully now the players can do the job.
And it certainly does for us as fans as well, because you don't get bigger than a derby game, but a derby game with this sort of added emotion to it as well, it really feels like it doesn't get any bigger than this, Shaun.
Yes, it doesn't. And what you learn and what you know is you stay in control of your emotions, and I'm pretty sure each and every one of the City players will be wanting to go out there and perform well and win the game, so that they can get to the finals and even try to win it and be able to dedicate it to him and his family. I think that will be something that will be subconsciously in the players' minds, but they'll know that control the emotions. People like Phil will understand, because he's grown up in a family that's local and understand. And he was an adopted Manc, if you like, but. Again, what a superb player. So the players will be very, very aware, and they'll want to perform exceptionally well for tonight.
We do enjoy adopting people, Shaun. We very, very much do. Lots of adopted Mancs around here. In terms of a Manchester derby, Joleon, was that a fixture you'd look out for when they came out at the start of the season?
100%. Obviously, at the start, it was just to kind of reduce the kind of noisy neighbour tag. But as time went on and they realised we were serious about what we were going to achieve and where we were going in direction, it became a lot more realistic and a lot more even. We wasn't going to Old Trafford hoping to win. We were going there believing we were going to win, and that is a different kind of beast you're messing with now. Obviously, I always say in the derbies now, especially at Old Trafford, the greatest respect you can pay the current team is, if it was 4-0, it wouldn't surprise anyone, and that is a massive achievement and turnaround from previous derbies.
Yeah, and it was as well. So for the first leg of this game last season, obviously the first leg was 3-1, but we went 3-0 up in the first half, Shaun. That was my favourite performance of last season, that 3-0 at half-time at Old Trafford.
I remember I remember, because I was waxing lyrical, I was talking to some friends who were United fans, some family members, and I was just like, it is over.
Family members that are United fans?
Yes.
It's not allowed, Sean.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
allowed. I've got friends, but not family members.
Listen, and I was just like, it's over, and I could not believe the second half, and Paul Pogba came to the game in second half, and that's what United's capable of, and that's also why tonight's also interesting, because again, the quality that both teams have, City can be up again 2-3-0, and United have the quality of players to be able to pull a goal or two back and make it a very interesting game. So again, I think both teams in good form. But more importantly, City got it right at both ends, which is why I'm really extremely excited about tonight's game.
Yeah, me too. Especially when I start looking back at this and just remembering how good we were. Look at all the fans there as well. That seems crazy now, doesn't it?
It does. To see fans now, when I see pictures of that and people actually making contact in public, I'm like, when was that? When was that? It was crazy. So, but no, it's a derby game. Obviously, we want to see fans in every fixture and every stadium, but when it's a derby, a semi-finals, this is the kind of occasions when you're thinking, it's a shame for the fans, especially because there's nights like this when it is people's first occasion to watch their team, whether you're United or City, it's their first occasion and everlasting memories.
Oh, I was imagining today how special it would have been if fans would have been there for the occasion, and then to sing Colin's name, and it would have. Oh, it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, and these are moments when the City forget the rivalry, they come together, so they would have appreciated what Colin meant to Man City like we would have done if it was one of their kind of legends. So these are the moments that you, for the minutes that you respect in Colin Bell, you can put aside the rivalry and just pay respect.
Yeah, Julian's absolutely right. I think, United will also be aware of what Colin Bell meant to this club, and they'll understand the emotions that the City players will have, and I think will make for a very exciting game, because they'll want to come and win the game, obviously. But again, they'll have a great deal of respect knowing what Colin Bell meant to this club, and will want to play well and give a performance befitting of Colin Bell and the family and the name.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of United as well, obviously we beat them in the semi-final last year. They've been beaten in their last 4 semi-finals now as well.
Let it go.
I like that.
No.
Thank you, Sean. They're gonna want to get us tonight, though, aren't they? Really?
100%. Obviously, their confidence will be the highest it's been for a number of seasons due to them being like title contenders at the moment, and obviously not necessarily playing as well as they would have liked, but getting the results. So we've got to be realistic and say this is not going to be the typical derby that we've seen. I know the last one in the league wasn't great, but recent derbies have been dominated by Man City. I expect it to be a lot closer this time around due to the situation they're in, but I still believe that City can win this game.
Yeah, and here's that wonderful third goal that we scored in that game. I was losing my mind at this moment when, what was it?
Sit down.
We'll take that again tonight, right away, won't we, Sean?
We would, and be interesting to see where he ends up playing tonight. But this bit of skill here. Hey, kids, watch that. Oh, he's just dragged it. It's like, lie down. I'll bring you a cup of tea back in a minute and some biscuits. But that was some skill there.
That was pretty to watch that. And it's just a shame an own goal capped it off. Like, if it's one of our lads tap it in, then it's remembered. But when it's an own goal, you kind of get away with it.
It's going to be so different, though. You mentioned the game from a couple of weeks ago, which obviously was that really dull 0-0 game. I feel like the two teams couldn't be in a more different place, even though it was only a few weeks ago, a month ago now. I'm expecting a really different game.
Yeah, I am as well. Again, because it has to be resolved today. There's not going to be extra time, and I don't think any team wants to go to penalties. You kind of want it to get it over and done with as early as possible, especially when penalties is a lottery. But teams are in different places. There's a lot of respect shown before. I don't know what you think, Sean, but I expect goals tonight.
Yeah, I would expect goals as well. In regards to, again, both teams, the places where they are, they'll both be looking forward to this and thinking they could win. What I like is, I think with last game, Pep was in a place where he couldn't really trust. Could we keep that clean sheet? And we weren't also getting goals. You were forward 3-4 weeks now. We're keeping clean sheets. The partnership is solid. Joleon will probably talk about that a bit later. It's solid. But when I look up front, even when we don't have a forward now, guys are scoring goals, and it looks really good. It looks really good. So I'm excited about that.
Right, let's take a little look at the team there and see who we think will be getting the goals tonight. So our starting 11 for the semi-final tonight against United in goal is Zach Stefan. And then in our defence, you have Cancelo, Stones, Ruben Diaz and Alexander Zinchenko. And then up into midfield, you have Fernandinho, Ilkay Gundogan, Mahrez, De Bruyne, Foden and Sterling. And then on the substitutes bench, we've got Walker, Jesus, Aguero, Rodri, Mendy, Nemecha, Harwood-Bellis and Trafford. So a couple of the youngsters getting onto the bench there as well. So, I say that sometimes, as I'm saying it, and going into the midfield, and then I stop and I don't say going into the attack because, we're looking at the team there again thinking, right, as I often say on this programme, where are they playing today? And it especially caught me out in the Chelsea game.
Yeah, I don't know if you can honestly say where they're playing. Where they're going to start, you may be able to predict. And after the back of the Chelsea game, Kevin may play centre forward or start there.
Ghost roll.
I know, yeah, but there's going to be plenty of rotation. You expect it to kind of be loads of movement. Again, here now, you wouldn't expect Gundogan to be the highest player forward against Chelsea for a period of time, and he was. And again, that's what comes when you've got a lot of similar personnel in terms of position. They have a great understanding, like if when Gundogan did push forward, Kevin De Bruyne was aware of where to be, but what holes to fill. And you see here when Phil Foden's the highest man forward and Kevin's aware of where to be in terms of his position. So the understanding is key. Again, I don't think we're ever reliant on any one player. There was never going to be a time when I would have thought we would be as dominant as we did against Chelsea without Sergio Aguero and without a recognised striker. So I don't think we can actually say to any one person is going to be a sole striker, but there's just plenty of understanding.
How did you feel when you realised during the Chelsea game that Kevin De Bruyne was playing that sort of false nine position, Shaun? Because it took me a minute, as it often does, when I'm sitting thinking, is this happening?
Yes. Well, for me, once I realised that was the case, I was still very quietly confident, because what I know is that he's not a striker, so he'll come in pockets. And when a central defender makes that wrong decision, that split decision to sort of step in and maybe go tight to him or whoever may be there, then that creates that space where you then see the guys running in off the line. And that's where all the headaches start to come. So I knew that when he played up there, I thought this is going to create some trouble if City start to really get their game going. And City did, and I had my popcorn and I was just like, this is just lovely. This is lovely.
And he's not lying, he really does eat popcorn. We've got loads over there, and hopefully he's going to be tucking into it during today's game as well. But yes, false nine, Kevin De Bruyne. I thought that was absolutely peak Pep on Sunday. Loved it. And now we're going to hear the thoughts of Pep Guardiola.
In terms of the team tonight, 2 changes. Mahrez and Fernandinho come in. Can you tell us the thinking behind that, please?
We don't have much more, so Sergio's almost ready. I think we'll be ready for the next game, FA Cup. Of course, Dino and Riyad come in, and the rest, today Kyle and Gabi are here, but because they overcome they are negative today, but of course the physical is an incognito, so we don't know. So the reaction after his illness, so yeah, we don't have much. That's why you have to play the players are in the pitch, and of course incredible, full confidence, and even for the guys for the under 23, they are in the bench if they need to help us.
Why no Bernardo Silva?
He's suspended.
I should have known that, shouldn't I? In terms of your preparation, has it been difficult, all those problems that you've had off the field that you've spoken about?
For the COVID?
Has it been hard preparing for this game?
No, the mood is good. So we always, when you win games, it's better for the next one. So of course we don't have much time for a preparation. So demanding game, one of the most physical teams in the Premier League, but it's what it is. So we're semi-final, then one competition, one cup, and we have to play we have to play a good performance to be in the final.
And despite the absentees, do you feel that you're almost in a perfect moment currently?
The moments come and gone. So we took a bus 20 minutes ago in our home, and we travel here, and we are going to do a good performance to be able, if we're able, to reach the final.
Thanks very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
And that was the thoughts of a very happy Pep Guardiola tonight. Joleon, he looks chuffed.
Yeah, that's the thing, and he was noticeable. I'm not saying he's kind of been miserable, but he's obviously been frustrated with certain things, elements, but over the last, few weeks and performances, you've seen him gaining confidence, and he seems excited about tonight, which gives me confidence that the team will perform. So again, a credit to the players and him obviously getting everyone prepared.
I feel like the way that Pep was in that interview there was, as you say, it was like a sign that things are going well for us now. We're on a roll here, and this is a great time, as we often say on this show, Shaun, lately, a great time for us to be hitting this form that we are with all of these games in all of the different competitions.
Yeah, exactly, and he avoided that question because the team is in perfect form, and he just said, "Well, we got off the coach and we got from our homes on the coach, and we're here." And basically, the team is in great form now in terms of wanting to play this game. The strikers, the forwards are scoring goals. The midfielders are protective and also creative. They got the energy coming from the defensive players in overlaps and going forward. The defense is solid. We've conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League, and I know we're talking about the Carabao Cup, but that speaks volumes in terms of where we are, and I think this now puts us in a really good place, which is what we saw with Pep. He's excited about tonight and looking forward to it.
Yeah, he said in the week as well that he believes we're back up to the 100 points form of 2 seasons ago. Now, you all know I love a stat by now. Love a stat. Nat stats, we're calling it now. 12 games undefeated, 21 goals scored, and just 3 goals conceded in the last 12 as well. That's a decent run rate.
That's the thing, and that's the balance. We're used to seeing that high number of goals scored in them games, but the goals conceded, as I said, that'll be the most important thing going forward, is that there's going to be games when we're going to need to rely on being hard to beat rather than just outscoring the opposition, especially in the formidable Champions League, which obviously everybody wants to win. So to the last stages of that competition, it's going to be important because, again, no team wants to face Man City. Whatever competition, whatever format, you don't want to play Man City because you know they can score a high number of goals. But when you're thinking they don't concede, that's a different beast. Someone that can score goals and doesn't concede is a recipe for success.
Julian, you've hit the nail on the head. No one wants to play City. And if we go back 4 weeks ago, teams would have still been, we don't want to catch City at the wrong time because they may be able to put together 3, 4, 5 goals. So now that we've got the clean sheets and the goals, they don't want to play City.
Now we can see Fernandinho is warming up there as well. He, of course, starts tonight. Rodri has been playing pretty much every game this season. So sort of tactically, Joleon, what do you think the idea is on playing Ferner tonight?
I think, obviously, Fernandinho is obviously capable of playing that role. I think he's produced the most consistent performances there for Man City. And Rodri is obviously ever present and does exceptionally well, but he has a different intelligence, especially for a counter-attack. He knows how to foul and not receive a yellow card, so it puts him under pressure and the team under pressure. He can just nullify attacks from Man United without them realising and just be that kind of figurehead to just say, okay, I know where the game's going. I know what situation can prevail. Let me just nullify that. And again, he just brings a different understanding to that role for me.
Julian glossed over it, but that's a high level of intelligence to do what he does. Julian's just saying, well, he knows how to foul without getting the yellow cards, etc. But it really is an exceptional player to know this player is now going to have this touch. It's going to come right here, and I'm just going to squeeze my body in between him and the ball. And now he sort of fouls me, or I may give up the foul, but it stops that attack. And he has been the best, and he's probably made us more aware of the role that he does and the importance of it, and how he plays it. I just love Fernandinho when he plays because he's not only this player that sort of passes the ball square. he also knocks a nice little 40-yard diagonal ball and says, there you go, winger, get at him, which isn't what you tend to see with some midfielders, which tends to be, I'll just keep it and be safe and be told the next day your stats for keeping the ball was 99%. Fernandinho goes, no, I'll also give a through ball. I'll also, pass forward. So he's got that complete sort of game as a defensive midfielder. He's got an aggression to his game too.
Oh, yeah. You're not the only one that loves Fernandinho. We love Fernandinho. There's another adopted Manc for you there. Could that be a sign, though, Joleon, as well, that obviously recognising that United are in really good form as well, and is playing Fernandinho trying to perhaps stop that fast counter break that we know that they can do?
Yeah, I would say so. But again, would it surprise us if he didn't play and Rodri was in the team? I don't think any one player can go kind of unnoticed into what they do and what they mean to this team. Again, the likes of not having a striker or not playing with a centre forward and Sergio Aguero on the bench, for me that would have been, how are we looking to score? But we're creating as many chances as we have when he's played. So again, there's no one that is kind of, I look at the team and think he has to play all the time, because there's so much understanding of what Pep is asking of the players, and they're so good at what they do.
And another player that we saw warming up there was Riyad Mahrez. And we've got to give a massive shout out to Algeria, the absolute most hardcore supporters that you get. Shout out to Algeria. So there's Riyad Mahrez warming up as well. He starts tonight, Shaun.
Yes.
Consistently not playing every game. But when he does play, I think he's having a really great season. And we saw obviously he scored in the semi-final last year as well.
Yes, shout out to Algeria, because Mahrez, this guy, I'm sat on his sofa sometimes, and when he does a cutback, I'm buying it. He is doing me. The guy has got such control and ability, and he's putting goals to his game now. I think he's really enjoying his season, and he'll be looking forward to tonight, because again, he's one of those guys where you know what he's going to do as a defender, but defenders still, they still buy it. They still buy it. I mean, I'm looking forward to him, because he'll be looking forward to this game and thinking, I want to leave another mark in a big game like this here. But yeah, Algeria, I'm sure he'll be making a mark tonight.
Seriously, I put up a picture on Instagram of me and Riyad Mahrez, and my followers went up 10,000 in about 6 weeks.
Done tomorrow. Yes. Done. I'm on it.
I need to get on it, because Algeria is the best supporters around. I am
all over it.
I am telling you, yes. Another player that is starting tonight as well, of course, is Phil Foden, and a lot of City fans have really been calling and have had a really strong desire to see Phil play more games, Joleon. So he had a brilliant game against Chelsea as well, and every time he plays, he seems to score or create, and he just puts another marker down for he is the real deal.
That is the thing. Like, when has he not impacted the game or influenced it in some capacity? The consistency levels are ridiculous. Like, to what he's doing at such a young age is remarkable. But again, I can't talk highly enough of his obsession for football. I've known players that enjoy playing. I love playing. We love playing. But this guy is obsessed, like, to the point of when I touched on it before. I worked with the England under-21s about 18 months ago, and they had to ban footballs from the hotel because he literally walks around dribbling, like, to the canteen. He's never without a football, to where training sessions, they have to monitor the extra sessions because he will not come off the field. And the fact that he's playing for the team that he loves the most is only great for Man City. He, as I said, we all wanted to be footballers, but to do it for what he's doing for the team he loves the most is remarkable.
And another player that we love, Shaun.
Yes, listen, Phil, I can't speak high enough as well, because, listen, Phil, I used to watch Phil train when he was sort of 12, 13 and around the academy. And, you know, the other kids same age were used to kick lumps out of him. But you saw the ability, and it don't surprise me that, you know, what you're saying. He's got a ball in his hotel room and dribbling it around. And I said this probably the last time I was on the program. I said, I wouldn't be surprised within 5 years we see him being a part of the Ballon d'Or conversation, because, and some people may say, hey, steady on. But this guy, for me, what I see, he impacts the game. He's assisting goals and scoring goals, but also we're seeing his ability, his agility on the ball to be able to just shift and shake a guy. It's like he's shaking down a guy and going, oh, I don't need you, next one. You know, he just does a move. So I really like Phil, and I'm one of those that wants to see him play every week. But who am I to argue with Pep? But I just want to give Pep a little gentle nudge. Play him a little bit more, yeah?
By the way, Algeria, you've definitely got some competition. It's you for passion or Shaun Gota. Quite close in competition there, because if I wanted a hype man, I'm asking this guy here. Now, I did mention there earlier that United are, of course, on a really good run as well. We don't like to linger too much on the team that we're playing, but we are going to have a quick look at their starting 11 as well and get the guys' opinions here as well. So, United starting 11 tonight. In goal is Henderson.
Ooh.
And then in their defence, they've got Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw. And then Fred, McTominay, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. And then up front, Marcus Rashford and Martial. So, Joleon, when I'm looking at that, the name that's jumping straight out at me there is Bruno Fernandes, because, of course, we know that the impact that he has had on this team since he joined them roughly this time last year is insane.
Oh, yeah, it's remarkable. And he deserves a lot of credit. Again, he's not someone I knew too much about before he arrived, but he's come in there and just took to it like a duck to water. He's come in there and proven that he's got the winning mentality that they've probably missed over the last couple of seasons. And his contribution, like you've said, is ridiculous. Like, since he's came to Man United, I don't think anyone's contributed any more to their team than him. So, again, he deserves a careful watch. But collectively, City don't go to Old Trafford anymore worrying about one individual. They go there thinking if we implement our game, our plan, they have a lot more to worry about than what we do of them.
And when you see that team, Shaun, who are you thinking? Obviously, like Joleon says, we're not worrying too much about individuals here.
No.
But if you're looking at the team, who's standing out there for you?
Well, I'm going to answer this in two ways. So, I would say Rashford, but then I would also say that when Pep has always managed teams, because I've always followed and studied Pep, and they've had a star player when they played against Barcelona, or and he's managed against a star player. He has a tactic that is irrelevant of that star player. We press this way so that it's difficult for them to get the ball to their star player, and when we have possession, we do this so that their star players being starved. So I would say Rashford, because he has a knack of scoring against us. He'll have that confidence and belief. But the way Pep sets up, he sets up in that, I don't care who you got. This is how we're going to play, and we're going to starve that man of
and that's why I think Fernandinho's in there, because I think he makes it ugly for Bruno Fernandes. I don't think Bruno Fernandes comes off this field tonight enjoying this game. He won't enjoy the performance because Fernandinho will just be around him, just nipping at his heels and just stopping from playing, getting on the ball as much as he likes. Even if he's not actually tackling him at any given time, he'll just nullify his possessions, which for players like that, they just want to be in possession. They just want to contribute. And with people like Fernandinho around you, you don't get an easy night.
And we're seeing some live shots from inside the ground there. There's a bit of shooting practice going on there, and we're hoping that we're going to be seeing quite a lot of these shots during the game as well. Because sort of pulling on what you said there, Joleon, about we're not too worried about individuals for them, because ultimately I feel like it doesn't even matter what they do, because if we play like we did against Chelsea, we're going to win. Yeah,
definitely. If you play like that against any team, you win. But again, you've got to respect who they are and what this means. There was a lot of respect shown in the league game. I don't expect it to be as much this time around. I think you're seeing that in the selection, and there not being two potential City midfielders. Is Fernandinho going to play that role isolated on his own? So I think the kind of vulnerability that we had before going into the league game is not there. There's a different belief. I know they have that as well, but there's a different belief between our squad, knowing now that the balance is where we expected it to be, and we're converting the chances. I think we've created the chances throughout the season, but the conversion rate hasn't always been there, and I think now it's there. Again, I'm sure it looks like Man United have tweaked their kind of set up a bit more than we have.
Yeah, may have, but this game becomes an open. I think the game becomes either open or closed depending on Pep. And I think the last game, the way it turned out that way, is because Pep's feeling of how the team was, in terms of being a bit more cagey and the game being a dull affair. But I think we're going there at a really great moment. As we seem like we're repeating ourselves, but we're in really good form defensively as a midfielder in terms of screening and also being creative. Fullbacks being able to get up and get involved in play, and the front guys, the interchanging. De Bruyne are playing that ghost role. I know we all say the 9 role, the false 9. My man's playing a ghost role. You see him and now you don't, and then he appears and it's a goal. So we're going there at a really great moment, and this here is what excites me about tonight. And again, I think Pep is not thinking should I have two holding midfielders, because he knows in every area we're pretty good and we're pretty strong. So this is why we saw his interview be what it was.
I'm really excited as well, obviously because of everything you said, but also for me, this feels like a really big game in terms of the Premier League as well, because obviously from the points that Liverpool have dropped lately, which was a very unexpected and welcome Christmas present, thank you very much, we know that if we win our games in hand, if they win their game in hand that they have over Liverpool, United will be top and we'll be second with a point in it. So for me, this game also feels like it's taking on a bit of a, well, come on, we need to beat them, we need the confidence from this to take back into the Premier League to show that we're the ones that everybody should be watching.
Yeah, definitely. And in a funny way, it'll give them more confidence if they beat us rather than us beating them. Again, we're going to this game favourites and expected to win in a semi-final, especially in this competition. But like you're saying there, the confidence winning brings, especially against your rivals, arguably the biggest team in the era of the Premier League, and where they are at the moment. If this is the most confident they've been in recent years, and we go there and beat them comfortably, that honestly deflates everything what they're doing, because obviously they're not as close as they think they would be if we dominate for this performance.
And we have, and the thing is, we know we can do it. If we hit it right tonight, all of a sudden we know we're capable of going out there and going, City's 3-0 up at half time. How, because City's capable of that. And these boys, I think they're up for it. They put that type of game together, waiting for a really good game.
Yeah, and absolutely, Shaun. I'm so excited ahead of the game. So I think it's really going to show us a lot as well when we can compare it as well, as we say, to that game earlier in the season. Do you think the fans makes any difference tonight, Joleon, in terms of you've played at Old Trafford with there being no fans? Is that on our side tonight or not really?
Maybe tonight. I think it would have hindered us the league game, because they was in a different place. If they were playing the way they were playing before, their fans would have let them know that's not enjoyable, that's not the Man United way. But now they're kind of in a different place. It's probably a good thing that there's no fans, because their fans would have got behind them, because they're obviously a lot more confident in securing what they're trying to achieve. But overall, especially a derby game, you want, these are the games where you want to kind of taste the atmosphere. This is what adds to the occasion. Going to the local rivals in a semi-final, it doesn't get much bigger than that. So, the fans will be missed, and they are missed in every game, but especially tonight.
Of course, it's only one leg tonight as well. These games are usually played home and away, but it's just the one leg tonight. So if it is a draw after 90 minutes in extra time, it could go to penalties as well. In terms of derbies, Shaun, you know all about scoring in a derby. Now, I've said this many, many times, and I don't know if I've ever told you to your face, but I have a painting of you in my house, the GOAT, scoring against Barthez when you nipped the ball at Main Road off Neville.
I remember that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that still hangs in pride of place in my house.
Hey, a bit of art from. Okay, love that.
I think you might have mentioned this before. Where does it hang?
No offense, Shaun.
Here we go. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's in the toilet. It's in the toilet.
And I look at it every day, Shaun.
Pride in place. Hey? Yeah, pride in place. Love it. Hey?
Jolie, it's absolutely dropped me in it there. Thanks, mate.
Well, you're in a lot worse places, so I'm happy with that. Hey? That's a peaceful, tranquil area.
The rest of us are in the kitchen, but you're in the toilet.
I get to see it more often, Shaun. That's what I like about that. But yes, scoring in a derby, even more special?
Yes, it is. And the players just understand the importance of this, because it's the chance to get to a final in a cup, in the Carabao Cup. So both teams will be aware of this. The regular goal scorers, guys who are always chipping in with goals, will be aware that, and they understand the importance of, scoring in a big game. So all the usual suspects, they're thinking, I want to leave a mark. Joleon was a great defender. Joleon wanted to leave a mark and saying, I want a clean sheet against these boys. So the goal scorers, the guys who are always scoring 10 plus goals, they're the ones thinking, and I'm talking, including attacking midfielders, are thinking, I want to leave a mark on this game. I want to be scoring a goal or have a nice little assist. So they'll be up for this one.
Absolutely. The kickoff is getting really close now as well. We will tonight be wearing the number 8 shirt, of course, in memory of Colin Bell and in his honour as well. And there will be a minute's silence tonight before the game as well. So, you can take a minute there to remember some of the absolutely magical moments that Colin gave us, both on the pitch and off the pitch. If you were ever lucky enough to meet him, when I asked him for a photo, I thought I was going to faint. And I'm sure you all have similar stories. And we're seeing some pictures here of some messages and some flowers and scarves and shirts. And these have been laid by some fans outside the stadium tonight as well. He was just so well loved. And of course, he will be in all of our thoughts tonight. He'll be on the players' minds, I'm sure, as well during that minute's silence, and they'll be remembering throughout the game as well, Joleon, with wearing that number 8 shirt tonight. They'll be aware of what it means, won't they?
100%, and the kind of extra attention of wearing the shirts and the silence before the game, that it just, as Shaun touched on before, it brings a little bit more emotion to the occasion. Yes, we've talked on it's Man City versus Man United, but for a moment we have to respect what he meant to us as a club, what he meant to Manchester as a city, and it'd be good to see both teams paying the respects.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, we send all our love to his friends, to his family, to everybody that knew him. And Shaun, just before we sort of close the show for this evening, do you have any sort of final thoughts on Colin Bell tonight just before we get into the game?
Well, all I can say really is what a player, what a humble guy. The humility was in terms of you would approach him and he's more interested in you than he is of saying, well, this is what I've done and what I've achieved. And, you know, all of what he achieved was absolutely huge. So you'll be sadly missed, and condolences to him and his family, or to his family.
Yes, he will be so missed, but he will be so well remembered by us all as well, starting this evening as the players wear the number 8 shirt, and we will be having a minute's silence just before the game where we will all remember him and what he meant individually to us. So enjoy the game. We'll be back here at half time and then full time, hopefully talking about going to another final.
We will see Colin Bell, who's a very young player that gets through a tremendous amount of work, who is more suited from coming from deep positions into forward attacking players than actually being a forward attacking player.
To Bell. Well cut in that. And this must be it. There it is. No. What can he do? There's Lee. There's Lee. He's not offside. And there it is. Manchester City are the champions of the First Division. They defeated Newcastle by 4-3. And it's all over. They have played so wonderfully. Listen to them now as they see the cup.
Leading well to get it over. Bell flicking it on. Pardo! That's what they waited for in their move.
Once again, it's becoming something of a habit. The European Cup Winners' Cup, which will now join the League Cup on the shelf at Main Road.
This is Alan Oakes. 20 minutes gone, and it's Colin. What a goal! What a goal! What a fantastic shot by Colin Bell.
And that's dangerous. Bell in.
It's Joleon.
Bell
moving up very strongly on the right, and Bell's got a chance now. 2-0.
Again, series of 1-2s. Bell. 3-0. Sullivan again. And Bell has won it. First ball that goes. Bell moving into the middle, so is Lee. Beautifully set up goal.
Mendy. Here's Marsh. That's for Bell. Thank you very much for
Well.